This is a business and needs to be treated like a business. So you don't go in for negative cash flow. I mean, any business would fail if it had negative cash flow. If you want a good business, you need a good location, you need good clients, you need a good product, and you need liquidity. That's it. If you can just get your head around the fact that this is a business and it needs to be treated like a business, then you're set up for success.
Welcome to the Commonwealth Home Ownership Podcast, the real estate investing podcast for Canadians. Whether you're a seasoned investor or just getting started, you've come to the right place. If you're looking for a way to take control of your life through real estate investing, stay tuned and be sure to join us at cwho.ca, your hub for all things real estate investing in Canada.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Commonwealth Home Ownership Real Estate Investing Podcast. For today's episode, we have Wayne Hillier joining us. He is a veteran real estate investor based out of Edmonton and the host of the Reinvestordad podcast. So today we want to discuss the myths surrounding real estate investing. There's lots of programs and shows out there that might give newer investors an unrealistic expectation about the amount of time and effort and patience involved in real estate investing. So we just want to talk about mindset, how important that is going into playing this game, how it still work. It's albeit not as much work as a full-time job, depending on what you do, and the amount of patience involved in generating wealth using this strategy, and a ton more. So lots of really good nuggets throughout this whole episode. So I really hope you guys enjoy. Thanks.
Yeah, Brad, you had said you are an electrician by trade, but I know you're full-time real estate investing. How did both of you guys get into real estate investing?
Well, I mean,
question, I guess.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brad. I'll let you go first.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I guess back in Oz, I spent a lot of time. I was a contractor, and I wired a lot of houses. I've done a lot of construction work on just single family homes, multi-unit developments and all that kind of stuff, but as a contractor. So to be honest with you, man, it was always something that renovating houses in Oz is huge because the market is always just flying up. You know what I mean? It's like renovating a house in Toronto. By the time you finish the project, it's probably appreciated 10%. So, there's your profit. But in Oz, it's pretty big as well. So it's always something I was interested in. And I started doing it before I left with a buddy of mine who's probably one of my best buds back home. He'd bought a little unit and we were like, hey, why don't we renovate it and see what we can do here? So we basically started that project. We did that one. And then I had come to Canada, and then obviously I didn't really leave. So I basically setting up in a new place. I started out in Fernie for a little bit. I was living in Fernie for a couple of years. And I was doing electrical work there and snowboarding and just kind of living the good life, to be honest. And so from there, I'd met Charlotte. Char's mum still lives in Fernie, so we get out there a bit. And long story short, ended up in Calgary, basically because of Charlotte. And then still doing a bit of electrical work. And then real estate's different here to back home. There's a lot of negative gearing that goes on back home, whereas not everything, but typically what we're looking for here is positively geared, and we generate good cash flow. So once I kind of understood that, the possibilities here, and in the back of your mind, you're always comparing to what you know and where you've come from, right? So all of a sudden I'm thinking to myself going, holy smokes, you only need 5% to buy a house? Hang on a second, something's wrong here, Then I'm reading articles. It's so hard to buy a house. Prices are going up through the roof. And I'm thinking to myself going, people are crazy. You can buy a house for, 280,000 and you only need 5% down, like 10 grand. You can't save 10 grand. So anyway, I started seeing more and more opportunity. And basically back in 2016, Wayne, I was working for a construction management company over here, Stuart Olson. I don't know if you've heard of Stuart Olson. And I was doing a big project down in Lethbridge College for those guys down Lethbridge there. And so I had to be down there 3-4 days a week. And we were able to take advantage of that to buy another principal residence down there with only 5% down. So once I started running the numbers on suited houses down in Lethbridge, my mind was blown. Honestly, it was seriously blown at the potential, the return on investment potential, the cash flow potential. And I just couldn't get enough of it, you know? So I started probably where most people start. You know, you can buy real estate with zero money. How do you do that? Lease options. All right, let's learn everything about lease options. Yeah. Then you learn it all and you go, fuck that. That's sandwich lease options. No way, man. Like, no, I might be lucky to put one deal together in 24 months, you know? So anyway, then you start learning about the next one. It's like, okay, well, how about this agreement for sale thing? So then I'm just cramming information, cramming. And then it was like, okay, joint ventures, let's learn as much about that. And it was just, for me, I spent years just cramming as much information as I could get. And yeah, man, that was it. I was just instantly like, what, I don't know, I can do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't think there's any way around that. I think it doesn't matter how many mentors you have or people guiding you. I think everyone has to go through that whole experience of, this. Like I think we're destined to spend $10,000 on courses before we actually figure out what we want to do. It's inevitable.
I agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah. But the other thing too is, and like, this is something that Phil and I, you know, when we're working with our clients and stuff, and when we're doing our associate program, new investors, they're always doing that same thing, and they're always asking questions about these different creative strategies. And, well, you know, I've heard about this, and what about this and this and this? And it's like, look, you can go and do any strategy you want, but you have to understand that whichever one you choose, it's work.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, I mean, we're going to be talking about the myths of real estate investing here. Yeah. So good thing we're already recording. So Phil, cut this in. But like,
I think I'll leave all that in. That was all good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. But this is the thing. Like, everybody has this glamified social media expectation that real estate investing is passive income, and you're going to be rich next week because you're going to crush 10 deals this week and the cash flow is going to be rolling in. Oh my goodness, it just couldn't be any different. You know, like, if you want to go and do rent to own, which can be looked at as an entry and exit strategy, or just an exit strategy once you've got some real estate, like, that's work. It can take you months to find a potential rent to own tenant. It's work. It's nonstop. It doesn't just stop once you find the tenant. Then you got to work with them. Then you got to work with the actual property. Then you got to work with the exit and making sure that that works. And if it doesn't, then you're going to be working even more because you've got to make a way for it to work. You know, so it's, yeah, you're right. Everybody's got to go through that, man, where they learn about all the strategies and then kind of make a decision that I'm either going to focus on this, or, you know what, I'm going to take advantage of any of those when they come up, but I understand that it's going to be a lot of time and effort to do it, and I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I think it's important to, I think it's important to learn all the strategies just so you know how to take advantage of an opportunity when it comes up.
Yes.
But at the same time, I also think it's super important to be able to niche down into a particular tactic that you want to focus on, and just ride the hell out of that. Right? Otherwise you're still too scattered. You're too, you want to be able to do one strategy until you're so good at it, it's almost boring.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, Wayne, like, you've done a lot of different real estate acquisitions in your time, real estate investing. Like, how do you differentiate between all the creative strategies and make a definitive decision, or is it just opportunity based?
The first 5 years, it was very opportunity based, and that was just because of my lack of resources. You know what I mean? In my eyes, and though my wife did not agree, I was just willing to look at anything so long as it got me more equity. I was building up more capital. Whatever it took, I needed to build a foundation first. And I believed in that. And I was all over the fucking place. Just this, here, this. And then suddenly I have a little bit of cash. I'm like, okay, cool. Now I can do secondary suite conversions. I do a couple of those. I'm like, okay, done with those. I'm going to go over here. But all the while, what my goal was for 10 years was, I think it was like, I wanted $1 million in net worth, equity, capital, whatever. So that at 10 years, I could sell everything, I was going to take that $1 million. I was going to aggressively invest it for 5 years and make it 5. And then take that 5 million and just like do private lending or buy a bunch of suite houses, something nice, easy, neat, that was just going to give me $10,000 to $20,000 a month in cash flow. That's it. I was willing to go hard for 10 years and then go even harder for 5 more just to get it done. And I'd be 45 years old and I'm just set. And that's what I wanted. And obviously that changed over time because I thought, I don't know how the hell, it was a very audacious goal. I don't know how the hell I'm ever going to make $1 million in 10 years through real estate when I started with zero. But actually I did. Like it was, as you start going, you're like, oh, wow, this is actually a lot easier. Wow, I'm going to hit that sooner. Wow, I'm actually going to have $3 million in 10 years. Holy crap. And then you start changing. And then, you know, as your resources change, you hop and hop and hop and hop. But I've gotten to the point now where it's like, I have a very clear outlook of where I am, where I'm going, what the outcomes are going to be. And now, like you said, now I'm focused. Like I got a call today from a broker saying, hey, I've got this rent to own deal really good. And I said, you know what, man, not my focus. A couple of weeks ago, this is not a brag. Like I've had a ridiculous amount of past JV investors saying, hey, I want to make an extra $400 a month in cash flow. I got this much money. What are we doing? And I'm like, to be honest, I'm kind of busy right now. I don't want any more properties. I don't.
That's because it's work. That's because it's work.
More work takes away from the things that I'm passionate about, the things that are my sole focus, you know. Mm-hmm. And I think it's hard to imagine right now. And I tell people that, and they talk about, wow, opportunity. And I say things like, wow, opportunities just come to me. I don't go to them. Eventually, once you start getting bigger and start doing a lot more stuff, people will come to you, opportunities, cash, that kind of stuff. And then you get to pick and choose. And I'm at a point now where it's just like, I only do what's most important to the outcomes that are important to me. I don't touch anything else. Doesn't matter how much money it pays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it takes a lot of time and effort to get yourself to that point where people are picking up the phone and saying, hey, let's give Wayne a call because, you know, he may be interested in this deal, but even so, if he's not, he may know someone else that we can work with to get it across the line as well.
For sure. For sure. It's, yeah, in the beginning, your focus is all over the place and it's normal and you're going to take all these different courses and you'll find that right thing. And then as you start getting around that curve, you'll notice that, you're going to really want to just focus in on one thing, because when you start spreading out your focus, I mean, it's like, it's, you know, that beam, there's only, your focus is best when it's a nice small focal point. As soon as you start expanding that beam and trying to focus on all these different things, you don't get the same level of energy towards each of those things. Family, your portfolio, your job, if you're still working, you know what I mean? Your baseball team, your hockey team. And then suddenly you're not putting the right amount of energy into all those different aspects of your life, the things that are important to you. And then you start suffering. And 9 times out of 10, it's normally family. Because that's the last thing you're thinking about. They're always going to be there. I got to go focus on my job. I got to go get this deal done, and that's sad. So, you know, I talk about focus a lot, and that's mainly because of that. It's because I like focusing on one thing at a time to make sure that it's getting the right amount of attention and that outcome is being achieved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of us only have so much bandwidth we can take, right? Mm-hmm. So
that was the term I was looking for. Yeah.
So yeah,
the balance component is really hard. I'll be honest, it is really hard. You know, I mean, we have a couple of different businesses, obviously the real estate stuff as well, and it's tough. It's tough. You know, you're working nights, weekends. You're working when you need to work, basically, to make these deals happen. I mean, sometimes you can't say, you know, if it's Friday evening, oh, I'll get back to you on Monday, because the deal just won't be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The hours that you got to work it can be long for sure.
But it's supposed to be passive. You can do it in your sleep. Everybody on the stages and seminars make it seem so goddamn simple.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, it's just definitely not.
True. It's really hard.
No, I mean, it's really hard, especially if you have a full-time job. Like I'm still holding down a full-time job right now. You know, and it's tough, man. It's, you know, and you know, it was funny when I got into real estate investing, like I personally got into it kind of accidentally, really. I kind of just bought a house thinking I was going to live in Edmonton, and then moved to Canmore. Very similar to Brad, moved to a mountain town, and you just start having fun, and you're like, you know what? I don't really want to move back yet.
Yeah.
and it was a new build that was at the time, and then it came on the market, and then it finished. I was like, I don't want to move back yet. And then at the time, I was kind of ignorant in the sense that I was like, maybe I can just hold on to it and not rent it out, because I wasn't even thinking of real estate investing at the time, right? But then so out of necessity, after 2 months of paying a rent and a mortgage, it was like, you know what? I'm gonna go broke pretty quick here. So let's rent it out. I can't support this. And then when I rented it out, I was, this is back in 2014, before the whole market crash, and I was making $400 a month in cash flow off this property. I was like,
nice.
I was like, holy shit. So not only am I not paying 2 mortgages, I'm making an extra $400 a month every month. And I was like, maybe there's something to this. And then that's when I went all in. That's when I decided. That's when I saw that spark, that little light bulb, that potential. And then I was like, and I spent a couple of years just cramming information, podcasts, books, seminars, courses, workshops, whatever it is. And then it's kind of, and then it took a while. Like I said, I went through the whole thing with like Brad too, like rent to owns. I did some rent to owns. I like looked into trying to do agreement for sales. I looked, and then buy and hold. And then it's like, maybe I can just buy these cheap houses in Alberta Avenue. I was looking at Alberta Avenue. I was in Edmonton at the time. And then my dad, who's done some real estate investing himself, I think he and his partners, when they were, a couple of 20 years ago, they had owned like 50 plus units, and they sold the whole portfolio and retired early. And I was never really involved because I was really young at the time when he was doing it. I was still kind of in school, and I wasn't really involved. But then, and I just asked him, he's like, "What the hell are you thinking? Like, that's like, do not touch those houses." But I was looking at those houses. You can buy a legally suited house off of Alberta Avenue for like $200,000, $220,000.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous. Like the price you can buy for these houses were just ridiculous, and so the numbers looked amazing. Right? But then at the same time, it's like, is that the type of tenant you want to deal with? And that never really occurred to me at the time. But then as longer I did it, I kind of just focused on niche down to essentially new build suited houses, right? And that's what I do now, and it's very much what I focus on. And that's it. That's
smart.
Then I do some rental and stuff like that on the side, but those are kind of more the occasional project versus the primary focus.
We're so stubborn. You mentioned, like, again, the courses and the this and that and the podcast and everything else, and just want to figure it out myself for free, and I don't need this. We're so stubborn when we get started. I'm not like that guy. And we all look back and it's the exact same thing.
It's tough, right? Because I wish I had put more time into finding more mentors and stuff like that, just because you think you can learn it all on your own at the beginning. And you can, not to say you can't, but just a lot more time and a lot more effort, a lot more mistakes. Like, as there's a few purchases I probably wouldn't have made if I look back on my portfolio, if I had known a bit more.
Yeah, I'm sitting in one.
It's a tough pill to swallow. Like, looking back, and I remember making that decision, contemplating it. Do I invest this $10,000 or $15,000 into myself, or do I buy a house? What certainty do I have if I invest into a mentor that I'm going to make it back? They say I'm going to make it back. They say it's the best investment, but it's really hard because you don't really want to take that. That's the first big decision you make. Mm-hmm. And that's a tough one. And you don't know if that person's the right person, if they're going to lead you in the right direction.
The problem is you can't see the other side of the fence. Like, you can't even see what color the grass is. It's like a wall that you have to trust there will be something good on the other side. Mm-hmm. And it's tough. It's tough to make that call. It's very much a leap of faith in a lot of ways.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, looking back at it, let's just assume that someone's listening to this and maybe they're not stubborn, and maybe they're in a point that they're vulnerable and they're open to a good advice. Looking back on it, either you can answer this. Like, what do you think would be like the best advice that you would give someone? Not necessarily property or strategy based, but like, what's the best advice you would give to someone who's just getting started out, who doesn't know the first step to take?
I would say find someone who does know what to do and then talk to them. I think that's the best first step. And And really, if I look back on a lot of times where I had those epiphanies, it's actually just talking to other investors, more experienced investors. Maybe not necessarily someone I coach or someone, but someone who's done what I want to do and see whether it actually worked and see how they did it. Even just having a conversation, just joining an investor group and just having conversations with those people in those groups is oftentimes enough to get you a little bit further ahead than you would be if you try to learn it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, how about you, Wayne? What would you say?
You don't know shit. You don't know shit. I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to myself 10 years ago, 8 years ago. But you don't know shit. You think you know shit because we're the type of personalities that are willing to go out and actually take the action. No, I'm not going to be like everyone else. I'm going to be a real estate investor. Yes, we do have some inherent, characteristic skills that most people don't have. But just because you're great and you're going to do something everybody else doesn't do, you don't know shit. And sometimes you got to be vulnerable and you need to ask a lot of people, not just one person. And you need to take all that information, critical thinking, you know what I mean? Take all the information, everything you can learn about each of these individual people and make your best decision and live with it. That's it. And don't complain about it. Just make a decision, go with it. And if it doesn't work, then change it. But you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Just be a critical thinker, take all the information, make a decision, live with it, don't regret it. And then if it doesn't work, just move a different direction. Just always go that direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And take what you can from everyone that you talk to along the way, because even though somebody might not be the perfect fit for exactly what it is that you want to do or achieve, it doesn't mean that they don't have good points that you can take from those discussions.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm meeting up next week. I'm going to hit some golf balls with a guy who was a bit of a mentor to me back in the 2017 realm, and a bit of a quiet kind of just goes about his business sort of investor. But he was somebody that really helped me understand what I was trying to achieve from a financial perspective, and how a residential real estate portfolio generates certain cash flow numbers, whether it be gross rental income, whether it be the cash flow today or once you've paid your mortgages off. And it's something that Phil and I spend quite a bit of time now doing with new investors, is really before diving into, why do you want to own however many properties you want to own, it's about defining lifestyle cost first, about just defining the necessities. What do the necessities in your life cost you? How much does it cost you to keep a roof over your head and food in the fridge? And then add your lifestyle costs onto that. How would you like to live your life? Quantify it. And now actually let's do some calculations to work out how big a portfolio you actually need if you want, if it is in fact you want your real estate to generate that income for you. And then let's talk about how to acquire real estate. And I think as a new investor out there, I think just doing some of those things first before you go and start buying, so that you're not sitting here where I am saying I would never have bought this house that I'm currently sitting in. You can avoid some of those things just simply by having some of these conversations first. So
there's a very wise man who once said, his name was Stephen Covey, who said, begin with the end in mind.
Well, there you go. Exactly.
And yeah, he was right. Yeah. Right. And that's literally how I coach and mentor too. Is like, it doesn't fucking matter which strategy you go with: multifamily, rent, own, private lending, wholesaling. They're all tools, but you got to figure out what it is that you want in life first, and quantify it, like you said. And then we'll worry about the other shit. We'll worry about, which strategy you use, and we'll take into account the goals or outcomes that you want in your life and how you want to get there, right? We're going to get you there as quickly and as easily as possible. So you're not spending, staying up till 11 o'clock at night trying to analyze a deal.
Well, you hit the nail on the head when you said tools.
Yes.
Because that's the other thing. Like, real estate's just a vehicle. It's just a tool to generate income. If you do it right, if you do it wrong, it'll cost you your own income every month. So it'll be a hammer that's the head keeps falling off. But it is just a tool. It's a vehicle. So that's something we try and emphasize as well, is that you need to really get clear on what you want this vehicle to, or where you want it to take you, or what you want this tool to do for you, So I think that's probably a really good starting point, like you say, Wayne, for people is, to Phil's point, find someone who is actually doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's key, that they're actually doing it in terms of what it is that you're looking to do. Like if somebody comes to me and says, I want to invest in multifamily, I'd be like, hey, look, I could probably point you in the direction of somebody who's doing that I know is doing that, but I'm not the person to work with you in regards to multifamily, because it doesn't interest me. The other thing too is, I got to say this, it's very easy. So we had a guest on our mastermind last month, Travis McConaughey. Now, a lot of people know Travis. The guy's got 300 plus properties, and he loves what he's doing. But that doesn't mean to anybody listening that you have to go and buy 300 plus properties.
Yeah.
It's no good comparing yourself to anybody.
Can we stop idolizing Travis McConaughey or whatever? I don't know his name. He's probably a really great guy. And
He is a good guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're great people, but stop idolizing them, please.
This is exactly the point, right? Like when we talk to Travis, we get along with him really well because we all get amped. We all get really amped talking about real estate. It's just so, like, it's just such a good conversation. It's fun, right? But Phil and I, like, we go do our thing. He does his thing. We don't care what he's doing. We love listening to his stories because we're like, you're a little bit nuts and we wouldn't do that, but which is quite funny. But the point is, we then come home and we go about our business.
Yeah.
We're not there going, oh my God, I've got to go find somebody to lift up a house, put it on a truck, drive it halfway across the country. I'm like, that does not interest me at all.
Mm-hmm. I don't need 300 fucking properties.
No,
that's the point. Exactly.
Like everybody has to, like, there's too much. You shouldn't compare. You should not compare, because everyone has different life circumstances and everyone has different resources available to them. And, that maybe allows them to go in a certain direction in real estate investing or wherever the career takes them, right? But everybody's life is different. So even if you talk to other people who have done it and you want to emulate them, you should never just copy what they do, because how they got started and what they had available to them and the timing of when they did it could be completely different than how you did it. I mean, if you look at real estate investors like 20 years ago, like the mortgage market was like a Wild West back then. Right? You could just assume mortgage. You can literally just walk up to someone, sign a piece of paper, and take over their mortgage, no questions asked.
And good for them. I mean,
yes,
you know what?
Right?
Good for them for taking fucking action and taking advantage of the situation when they did. But again, I'm going to rant a little bit. Stop idolizing those people, because they were in a completely different market than you're in. I have a lot more respect for people who have 15 properties today than people who have 100 20 years ago. It is effing hard right now to get more than 6 properties. You got to have like $170,000 in like total family income to get a $350,000 mortgage these days. It's hard, right? And the way that they calculate the debt servicing and everything else, they only use 50% of your rents. Like, it is ridiculously hard. So you're like, oh my gosh, this person's so amazing. They have 100. I'm going to listen to everything they say. Well, yeah, it was really easy for them to do that at that point. So
yeah, it's not apples to apples, guys. Like, you're talking about a $6,000 property in the middle of absolutely nowhere versus a $500,000 house in Edmonton or something along those lines. Like, it is not apples to apples. And you've got to be clear. You have to get and become clear with really what you need. Because it's funny when we run through these numbers with people, sometimes it's like, you need 3 properties and they're like, well, I already own 2. It's like, great. You're well on your way. You know what I mean? Go get the 3rd one, buy your house to live in, and start living the way you want to live.
Yeah, pay those off and you're good to go. You're set. You're done.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
and the problem with comparing yourself to other people is the fact that it's discouraging. Right. And a lot of people quit after the first couple of years because they're not, moving as quickly as the other person did.
It's like the Facebook of real estate investing, if you will.
How often, Wayne, do you work with people that get discouraged in that manner, or overwhelmed by you go through the process and you give them as much information as you can, and they're stuck in this, like, it's almost like a mental barrier in front of them. That, how often does that happen to you? Do you run into that?
No matter how hard I try, it's every day, man. It's really hard to keep people on track. And that's social media. It's when you're constantly comparing yourself and you see other people. It's almost like you're graduating class. You started in this year and they started in this year and they're way ahead of you. And you see all these people in Ontario and they're getting all these houses and burrs and stuff like that. And yeah, people get really discouraged. And as a mentor, it's a lot of work for me. And I mean, that's my job, is just to inspire and to remind them that it's, stop comparing yourself to them. You're on your own journey, stay on track, and you will achieve the outcome that you want. But yeah, you ask, and yeah, it's literally every day.
So what do you do? What do you do in those situations, man? Like how
what do I do for them, or what do I do in order to stay on track?
Well, maybe both, because I mean, you can't stop someone from then when you guys are done and they're because like we see it too, right? When you're working with people on whether it's a weekly or bi-weekly basis, some weeks when even through Zoom they hop on and you can see they're up, you can see their body position, you can see the look on their face and the way they're communicating. And sometimes or it could be just literally the following week, and all of a sudden they're like slouching their chair and, hey, maybe I should go and do something else.
I know. Go from Tigger to Eeyore in a matter of a week.
It's hard. It's really hard. And not every real estate, just because you're a real estate investor doesn't mean you're going to be great. I should have had a follow-up line for that, but it's the truth that not everyone is going to achieve greatness. Some people just aren't built for this. You may have been to an inspiring seminar, or you went to Keith's Bar event, or Rain event, or whatever else, and but not everyone is built for this. It does take a lot of tenacity and grit in order to be great, to be one of those people up, on podcasts and stuff like that, and on the stage and stuff. There's nothing wrong with just having 10 properties and creating some extra financial freedom, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Not everyone has to be, big and amazing. You don't have to be one of the top 5 investors that have a podcast. So, I mean, that's one of the first things I ask people is I say, do you want financial freedom, or do you want to be a rock star? And then I ask about 3 times, because I want to know, are you doing this for ego, to impress people and to be that, person up on stage, or do you want financial freedom? Because it's a completely different path that I'm going to take you on. And I think it's really important to recognize that early and then set your path or your plan based on that. Because a lot of people, they go and they create social media accounts and all these things. I want to get on this podcast and everything else because they're trying to be great, but it's taking away focus from, just a very simple path that they should take of just getting 10 properties. They feel like they need to be something amazing because of everything else.
Yeah, because of everything else, right? Social media and all that stuff. It's a lot of pressure. I mean, like I said, most of our students, we go through, like, you want to make $100,000, $150,000 a year. Mm-hmm. You don't need 10 properties. You don't even need 10 properties. Really, for most of the time, you don't, like, by the time they're all paid off, you can more than make what you need. What you want, not even just what you need, but what you want. The whole lifestyle that you want can be achieved with just a small handful of properties. You don't need to be a Travis or a Don Campbell or whatever to create the life you want.
And I should have said this earlier, and I forgot to. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be a rock star. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to be a rock star. I think that there's nothing wrong with ego. I am not afraid to say that I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to be the greatest, and I wanted to help people. That's just me. You can just tell it's me. It's always been me. And there's nothing, I'm not ashamed to say that's just my ego. And
well, you've got a couple of guitars in the background there, Wayne. So I'm assuming you could actually play them.
I was the lead singer of a classic rock cover band in high school. I've always been on, like, that's just me, and I'm not ashamed of it. And anyone else shouldn't be ashamed of it, and don't listen to what fucking people say about it. But recognizing it and understanding who you are and what you want in life is very important, because again, you're going to be going down this path when you should be going down this path, and just understanding yourself and where you stand and is super important.
Yeah, personal preference, right? You just got to know your personal preferences. Like just because if you look at all these real estate courses, they teach a lot of the stuff where you can go out and make a lot of equity through sweat equity and effort and all that stuff. But for example, that wasn't what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go out and find a crappy property and fix it up and make a ton of profit, because I didn't have the time, and I don't want to, and I'm not very handy. I don't have the skill set, and really I just don't care to do it. Right? Which is why I kind of focused on my niche when I did it. But it took a while to get there, and I think some people have to kind of go through that bit of a trials to kind of see where they settle into and see what works well for them. And it's just because you see a lot of people doing, I think HGTV is really bad for that, seeing all these crazy renos and make, flip the house for $100,000, et cetera, but that doesn't have to be you, and it's not how. And there's more than one way to skin a cat, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it goes back to what we talked about earlier with the multitude of different creative strategies. And typically, as when you're getting started, you have no money and you're looking at any way to get into zero money down real estate investing. So, for me, it was looking at sandwich lease options. And the more I actually learned about it, the worse it looked to me. So I just didn't, but I could really see that. I could see investors like going down that path and going, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And then they actually get to the point where they're trying to market and talking to potential leads and doing reference checks for tenant buyers and trying to approve a tenant buyer and pull together the whole deal and being like, oh my goodness, I've been trying to do this for a year now and I still haven't been successful, and I think I'm going to go do something else. Basically, it's just, I don't know, man. That's a hard one, because you don't know what you don't know. So it's good to know and understand those strategies, so you know that you don't want to do them, in a sense.
Yeah.
So that you can find out what you do want to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it sucks. There's this whole myth. I hate HGTV and all these seminars for trying to perpetuate this myth that real estate investing is easy and it's easy money and you can get financial freedom, next year or whatever it is. Like
that puts asses in seats. That's what
it does. But then you talk to people like Travis, right? Again, I'm not idolizing him, but just to say that he also perpetuates, but he also it does it in a way because of his ability to take massive action. He does in some ways perpetuate that myth as well.
Yes.
Right, but it's really because of his work ethic that he's able to create the life that he's able to create. But he makes it seem easy.
Yeah,
and you don't see all the background work that he has to put into all that effort to make the lifestyle that he created.
Yeah, but he talks a lot about education too on the front end, which I think, back to Wayne's point, is key, fundamental. You don't know shit. So you need to start with some form of education and mentorship and go down those paths before diving in,
So is it safe to say that you both would agree that every investor, if they have zero money, they have to have at least $10,000 to get started?
At the very
whether you're buying a property or investing yourself, I think you should automatically, just like a tuition for university or something like that, a degree, you have to have at least $5,000-$10,000 in order to invest in education. I don't think there's any way around it.
Well, it's a trade-off. I think it's either money or time. Right? You have either one or the other. It's either you pay money up front to learn the stuff you need to learn, or you put in a lot more time to be able to get the same amount of education. 5
years of filtering through both of our podcasts, trying to get little nuggets out of these. I mean, like, what did you learn about any strategy in this hour? There's a bunch of old guys ranting about how it's not easy. What did you learn? I mean, I would much rather pay a couple $1,000s than to waste an hour listening to us.
Yeah, totally. And you do need some money. Like you've got to be in a position where, let's just say, for example, you've got $0, but you've spent a shit ton of time learning how to do a joint venture. Okay. So all of a sudden somebody says, okay, I'm going to give you the cash and we're going to go do a joint venture and you're going to do everything. Like, you don't want to be going back to your investor saying, oh, we need an extra $2,000 because A, I made a mistake. B, we need to replace something that I didn't realize we needed to replace. Like, no way. Like, there's no way you're going to go back to your investor and say, I need to borrow another or put another $2,000 in. Like, you have to have at least a reserve of your own to put yourself in a position where you can proceed with that deal. And not only that, for example, a joint venture, you're actually responsible for half of the expenses. So if something was to happen, you actually would need some money, or else you'd be defaulting under the terms of the agreement. So while you can, yes, go and acquire a property with zero monies down, I would say that that is extremely risky to not actually at least have your own reserve and your own funds set up. So a JV looking to work with you should actually ensure that the person that they're going to work with actually has some money, even if they're the ones putting in all the funds for that particular deal.
That was good. I think that's good. Myth number 1 was it's way more work than you think. Myth number 2, no money down deals are never no money down deals, right? There's always money involved. You always need money to do a deal. No one's going to give you a house for free, except unless you're in Detroit back in the 2008. But
Yeah.
And you don't want it anyway.
No.
I'm actually, I'm really scared because if someone who was just thinking about investing in real estate listened to this, instead of going like, I don't think anyone who listens to this is going to want to go and do real estate investing after this. It just sounds so negative. I almost feel like we should end on a high note.
Absolutely. I mean, I just want people to be realistic in the sense that it is work, right? It's way less work than what a normal day job would be, granted. Mm-hmm. But it is still more work than you think. It's not a passive income. It is still something that you have to put effort into, to foster, to nurture, to kind of build. It's just like any business.
Yeah.
It is something that requires effort. And it's not like you just buy a stock and sit back and watch the dividends roll in.
Real estate investing is a business.
Is a business, yes.
Is a business. If you can learn one thing from this episode, is real estate investing is a business. This is not something you just do passively where you sell soaps on the side on your little website or whatever. This is a business and needs to be treated like a business. So you don't go in for negative cash flow. I mean, any business would fail if it had negative cash flow. If you want a good business, you need a good location, you need good clients, you need a good product, and you need liquidity. That's it. If you can just get your head around the fact that this is a business and it needs to be treated like a business, then you're set up for success.
I've not actually heard anybody put it as succinctly as that, Wayne, but I really, really like that analogy. I mean, yes, we all hear that real estate is a business. Well, we do because we're in those circles, but that is absolutely fundamental to any business, and this is no different. That's a really, really good way to put it, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a lot of people think that going into real estate investing, breaking even is good enough, but breaking even is not good enough because you don't have that liquidity. Right? And if anything were to happen, it's out of your own pocket. And how long can you sustain that if you have to pay into it every month?
I'm going to piss off all of the year 2000 graduates here, but look at all those guys that have 100 properties in the 2000s and look how well they did in 2008.
Yeah.
They weren't treating it like a business. They thought that shit would never end in Alberta. And I'm sorry, I'm going to piss some Ontario people off now too, but it's going to come to an end and you better have cash flow and you better be running a good liquid business. Otherwise you're going to fail just like every other year 2000s investor did in Alberta. You got it. It needs to be a strong business. You can't just always assume there's going to be appreciation. I admire the investors who started in 2015, 2014 the most because they've had the toughest conditions. And I feel like if we ever do get a boom again, they're going to be the ones that are the most successful.
Well, I mean, I think you're right. I think now, the last 6 years has been pretty shit for the Alberta economy in general. But I think if anyone gets started now and you can still make money now, in 10 years, we'd be laughing, right? Or whenever the economy rolls around. Alberta's in a cyclical economy. We all know that, and it will come back. It just, takes maybe a decade or so before it kind of cycles back and forth, but it will come back. When it comes back, if you're making money now, then and essentially the worst economy we've seen in 10 years, 12 years, then you'll definitely be doing well. And when the economy actually gets better.
My intent was not to piss a lot of people off. My intent was to tell people that, you know what, it may seem a little hard. I had someone just recently tell me, one of my mentees, that our market sucks. I'm like, come on, man, like you can figure it out. Our market doesn't suck. It's just different. You can't do that in this market. You have to do this. It's cyclical, like you said.
Yeah.
But just to give a little bit of hope to people who are struggling, trying to find JV partners, trying to find a good deal, trying to find cash flow. You know, there are ways to do it, and it will get better if you build a good foundation of good fundamentals of real estate investing for your business. You know, when things do, you know, eventually go up, you're going to be laughing, right?
Yeah, and there's a key point in there, Wayne, is that it is different. Investing in Alberta is different to investing in Vancouver and Toronto. Quite simply, you know, if you're looking to do a joint venture and you're presenting an opportunity that is going to generate a return on investment of around 15% plus, then that's a good investment for Alberta. And the security for that investment should be high cash flow, so that you can weather the storm. If you need to reduce rents, you can still cover your costs. And that's typically how you would have a conversation with a JV partner about a joint venture in Alberta. You know, if we do get a nice rise of appreciation in the future here with the return of the economy, fantastic, great. I mean, I really, really hope it comes for everybody here. But it's a different type of investment. It is typically lower cost to get in, which is fantastic. It's a really good return on investment. And when you can produce high cash flow, then you can produce some security for your investment partner. Yeah. So that's a good way to present a deal to a JV.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at business fundamentals, strictly speaking of real estate as a business, the fundamentals in Alberta are still solid in terms of a real estate investment, right? Your expenses are low, your revenue is high, you have a good profit margin, versus a property in Vancouver or Toronto where your expenses are high, your revenue does not cover your expenses, and you're hoping for that appreciation, you're hoping for that rise in value. That
that's gambling.
It is gambling, it's speculation. I mean, in recent times, it has shown to pay off, but that might not be the case. And really, I guess. Yeah, I mean, in the last few years, like people who have invested in those markets probably did get a good return based on appreciation.
Yeah.
But that is also speculation. And there's also a lot of downsides to that too, because if you put money into a property like that, that's negative cash flowing $600, $1,000 a month because the rent cannot cover the mortgage and property costs. How much more can you A, afford, and B, get lending for? Right? Because banks will not finance you if you're losing $1,000 a month on every property you buy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, back to our market and the stability of it. How many investors are you guys seeing coming from Ontario and Vancouver coming into Calgary and Edmonton? It's crazy. They're all taking their money out of those big, you know, flip deals that they're doing in Ottawa and Halifax and, you know, London and Vancouver. They're all bringing their money here because they want cash flow. And I know that's not the direct reason why our markets are crazy right now, but holy crap, Calgary's hot right now. I just got an offer accepted last week in Calgary, and holy shit, like I could not believe how crazy the market is right now.
Yeah, it's wild.
I think it's coming to Edmonton too, frankly. I think Edmonton real estate is really, really heating up. It's getting harder and harder to find a good deal in Edmonton now.
Yeah, everything's going pending like within a day. I've got a few like rent-to-own clients that I've been helping out, and they've been, you know, picking the house, and then by the time they call me and I call the realtor, pending.
Yeah,
my offer in Calgary, 9,000 over asking on the day it listed.
Yeah,
that's what I had to do. I'm like, holy shit snacks.
Yeah, it's wild, Wayne. Hey, Lethbridge, the city that goes up 2%, it's like 2%, 2%, 2%. That's it. It's boring, stable real estate, and I love it. Single family homes, February last year to February this year, went up 16%. That is unheard of, literally.
What's the main industry in Lethbridge?
There's four. The main one's agriculture, but agriculture, manufacturing, education, and medical.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a bubble down there. It's got its own diverse local economy, which is quite cool, and a steady population growth. But yeah, it's a wild time. It really is.
Yeah, like in Edmonton, I just put down 2 offers on a couple new builds up in Edmonton, and within a month, the price went up $16,000 off of base asking price.
Really?
Yeah.
And those are new build suite of properties?
New build suited properties.
Those have been going down in value for the last 5 years. There was a few of those companies building like the package deals, and they were selling for $525 for the longest time. And I'm seeing them well below $480, $470 for a while there. So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I usually go. I mean, I usually get quite a bit of a discount off the buy-in anyway, just because I've known the builders for a while and been working with them for a while. But even then, mine are like in the low to mid 400s typically. Yeah.
Nice.
But they were like, and like I was talking to the builder, and they're like, yeah, thankfully you locked those in because we just bumped up our price to $16,000 in the last month.
Have you? Well, we're going in so many different directions. Have you?
Sorry.
No. I'm going to take it even further.
Okay.
Have you guys noticed with the increased cost of drywall and lumber
Absolutely.
recently, is it affecting the prices of new builds?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the main reason it went up.
Yeah.
And lack of availability, really, that too. Like just lack of land availability.
Mm-hmm.
I had negotiated 4 new builds off plan with a builder in Calgary, in Southwest Calgary. And we negotiated, got to the price, agreed. I was waiting on the contracts, and then they canceled the deal. Basically, I had negotiated in $23,000 of savings, and then the prices went up 2 days after I negotiated the deal and put 4 lots on hold. The prices went up $20,000.
Wow.
Materials and lot rebates. The materials went up, lot rebate disappeared from the developer. So I had 43 grand in these deals, and then the builder just said, we can't do it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wild. And all of the developments around. So off the back of the 2015 recession that kicked into high gear here. So through kind of the 3 years following that, that's when the builders and the developers, they had already released a lot of land and were struggling to sell new builds. Like they had inventory. So from kind of 2018, they stopped releasing the inventory. So what that has now done is it's allowed everybody to kind of catch up. Like I'd go and negotiate with the builder and they'd say, yeah, we'll give you the referral discount of $1,500. We don't care how many you buy. We've only got 20 lots left in this whole development, and it's going to be 6 months before we might see some more. So that's also pushing demand into certain locations, into certain new developments where other developments are finishing up. They don't have any land left. So all of a sudden the builders are like, we're not going to discount anything. And you got this increase in lumber and drywall. Like it's wild. It's crazy.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In retrospect, last June would have been the best time to buy, really, just because the economy looked like it was going down the toilet. I mean, who would have known, right? I mean, with CMHC broadcasting an 18% decline in property values by the end of the year and all that stuff, a lot of people were scared. So, if in retrospect, the down market, as long as fundamentals, as long as the numbers work, you should just jump in, regardless of how the market may look at the time. As you know, Alberta's in a cyclical economy. Coronavirus will eventually blow over.
Yeah,
it would have been a good time to buy, but it was,
I mean, as long
as sentiment was not in the right direction at the time.
Yeah, and you've got to be playing for the long term as well.
Totally,
yeah,
absolutely. So 10 years down the road, everything will be fine, really.
Mm-hmm.
So Wayne, I guess last word, bud. What's the last piece to the puzzle here for new investors?
Well, we should really summarize everything, all this whole rant that we've been.
I don't know if you can.
The last hour.
I don't know if you can summarize it.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. We touched on so many different, really important things, and I really hope to God that someone really go and re-listen to this. There's so much really solid advice and nuggets in here that I think will help a lot of people who are struggling taking action. Did we really give any solid advice, or did we just scare people for an hour?
Well, no, I think we had some good stuff. I mean, I think the main point was plan before you take action. Just because taking action in itself may not be enough if you don't know where you're going. Right? So have a direction, have a goal set from the beginning, so you know which direction to set sail and how to correct course when you go off course, because you will go off course as a real estate investor. There's so many shiny objects floating around that it's hard not to get distracted.
And so many things that you never saw coming either. I mean, literally every deal that's ever gone wrong has 9 times out of 10 actually has been because of mortgages. Financing ruins everything. Financing ruins everything. So yeah, every great idea I've ever had, a great business model was ruined by financing. So yeah, there's going to be shiny things you're going to run to, and as well, you're going to think you got this amazing plan, and then the financier comes over and says, sorry, you can't do that. So be prepared to pivot and to adapt. And so long as you have an outcome at the end, a goal that you're trying to achieve, you will always reach it. So long as you focus on that one thing, begin with the end in mind.
And as you succinctly put it before, Wayne, treat it like a business. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. This is my business. I treat it as such. Yeah. Cash flow, liquidity.
Yes. Cash is king. Cash is king.
Branding. Oh, we never talked about branding and trust and branding.
Yes.
Oh, I could do another podcast on that. Just here I am, this goofy bugger with his logo on my shirt. But brand is trust, and trust is everything in this industry.
Yes. Oh, well, someone has to trust you as a JV partner to give you $100,000 for. I mean, really, they're not putting money in the deal. They're not giving the money to the house. They're giving money to you. Yes. Right. So they have to really trust you, and you have to really trust them in return, because oftentimes sharing a bank account, all those things, and you have to trust them as much as they trust you to be able to make this work for both of you.
The track record's only one part of it, to be honest. Like you hit the nail on the head, Phil. The trust is the most fundamental component to a joint venture specifically, but just real estate investing in general. Is you're going to be working with a lot of people on your professional team, and you need to be a professional as well. It's that simple. I mean, the thing I found interesting when I bought my first house, maybe a little bit of a segue here, was, when the realtor was, taking us around looking at these homes for us to buy. And then once we made that purchase, it felt strange because nobody was calling us every day. It was weird. It was like, okay, great, good, done, see you later. And then we were sort of sitting there going, oh, so do we have to then organize the lawyer? Do we have to organize the home inspection? And then do we have to? So all of a sudden you're the boss. You're like coordinating all these people. So once you know that, you're like, okay, this is good. Then you go on to your next purchase, and you have to do those things. Yeah. So if you are the joint venture manager and somebody's giving you capital, you've got to make sure that you are managing your team, but you're also a professional in your team, so that when your mortgage broker is dealing with you, they they expect a certain level of document control and provision of the financial documents required, right? Same with your lawyer for conveyancing. Like, you need to be that manager that person is entrusting their capital with. Because like Phil said, they're investing in you as a professional to do that job.
And your realtor, if you want your realtor to bring you the best deals, they need to trust and know that you're the type of person that actually will close on it.
Big time.
Right? Totally. If they know you're a closer, they will call you every single time with the best deals, because they don't want to call 10 other people. They're going to call you because they know you're going to close on it. Your tenants will not rent to you unless they trust you. Your rent-to-own tenant buyers will not sign that option contract unless they trust you. Right? Your agreement for sale sellers will not do an agreement for sale with you unless they trust you.
That's a huge one.
Yeah.
Literally every aspect. They have to trust you. They will not do something unless they trust you. So that's why, and it's not about branding per se. It's about having a reputable brand of being someone that is trustworthy.
Big time.
I guess I could do a whole fucking podcast on
that. Yeah. But it's so true. It's so true though, right? And it can take a long time to build a reputation, and it can take 2 minutes to destroy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as Warren Buffett says, yeah.
How much swearing do you guys normally do in your podcast?
Very little, actually. So this will be a unique.
But I feel like when we're doing myths and we're trying to get something through to someone, I feel like I have to say fuck like 10 times.
It is a good way to emphasize a point. Absolutely.
So this is not going to be a clean episode on iTunes.
I will have to, make sure that people know that. Explicit content.
Is there a checkbox, Phil?
I think there might be a checkbox where it says, does it contain explicit content?
Yeah.
I'll have to say yes this time.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go. Awesome.
I mean, anything else that we want to kind of finish off before we make a note of before we end the episode here?
I'll say one thing, guys, and I mean, Wayne, you can jump in, but just reach out. Like, there's so many people out there. Don't be afraid to reach out, contact people directly. Like, networking is tough these days. It is tough these days. So just call people or text them or message them on Facebook directly. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. Just get out there and do it. Talk to as many people as you can.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that's a big one.
Oh, I do have to add on to that. Shoot. Don't text me without adding value. And you know what, maybe some people early on, they might be a little more inclined to answer your questions and stuff like that, but you'll find that the people who are a little more experienced and their time is a little more valuable. I get lots of messages, and a lot of times I give very stock answers, or sometimes I won't respond for a couple of days unless there's value. I mean, my time is very valuable. That's not to say that I'm a dick and I'm better than you. It's just that I value my time, and I'm laser focused. And I think that if you really want to get someone's attention and get their best possible advice, add value. And you need to add value. Don't ask how I can add value. You know what I mean? Do your research, find out what this person could gain from you. And again, it's not about being a dick and saying that, I'm better than you or anyone else is better than you, but that's just normal rules in anything, in any business. You need to add value in order to get someone's attention and time.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I mean, look, time is of the essence. It's one thing.
It's your number one like valuable commodity. Like it's the only thing that you'll never get back.
Mm-hmm. You can always make more money. You can never make more time. Right? Mm-hmm. So you should always use it wisely.
And that was just a tip. To, to make sure you're getting the best value out of your messages. Because you see a lot of people, they message people and they're like, hey, I'm a real estate investor. Do you mind if I pick your brain for a couple minutes? And they're like, it doesn't work, guys. I tried. I asked 20 people. It doesn't work.
Well, I think people just need to realize sometimes that there's a cost to these things. It's that and it's that simple, right? When you are working and coaching people, there's a cost for your time. That's what you do as a business. I mean, you're a professional coach, Wayne. So yes, people can reach out and hire you as a coach if you're going to be a good fit for them as a coach. But there is that's part of the value that they bring. There's a cost to that. Time is not free for everyone. So no, it's a good point to make, man.
Definitely going to sound like a dick for that comment. Yeah.
No,
I
want everyone to succeed. I really do.
That's why we're doing this, man, right? That's why we're doing this podcast. That's why we're putting this information out there. We want everyone around to succeed. It's more fun when your friends are on board you're with your lifestyle than if you were doing it all alone.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. I don't know anybody that can wakeboard behind a boat while the boat drives itself. I'll leave it at that.
I like that. This is so much fun. Thanks for having me on. This is
thanks for joining us, man.
Discussions like this. I liked it, and thanks for letting me swear.
Absolutely.
You're very welcome.
Kind of opens up the floodgates for the rest of us to do the same. So
reminds me of back home. Awesome. No, thanks again, Wayne.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Commonwealth Home Ownership Podcast. Be sure to check out all of our past episodes and our ever-growing library of content at cwho.ca. Until next time, remember to get out there, take action, and create a life of wealth by design.